craft desk, and what we're going to do is we're going to make a cover for a journal, and this is going to be for a baby. So I'm going to start covering it. This is the first time I've done a cover like this, so most of my covers are ring bound. Most of my journals are ring bound. This is my first attempt, and we're going to see how easy it really is. So let's get started. Okay, so this is from a book I've gutted previously, and this is the right size for my signatures from here to here and from here to here on the sides. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open it up. I've gotten this flattened out. I've cut away any extra stuff, and I'm going to reinforce this area right here with just some packing tape. It's white packing tape, and I'm going to put a couple of strips down right in here and make sure it's stuck really. So I'm just cut that off at the edge right there, and I'm going to run another strip of it right here, and I'm making sure I overlap and make sure it's stuck down really good. And then I'm going to just cut it off right here. I probably should have wrapped that around. I don't know. We'll find out when I realize what mistakes I've made. So now across the top here, this is for all you beginning junk journalists that are starting out. Let's see how hard it is really for somebody who's never done it before. And how intimidated should we be? I probably should have left some to turn under. And the reason why I say that is because right here, it wants to stick up on the edges. So I'm rolling it back, and I'm rolling it back here. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, since I've reinforced this, make sure that's all good and down, really pressed in there like it should be. And the material that I'm going to cover it in is going to be this muslin type material. But my cover is green, so my question is it going to show through? And it probably is, because I can see that on camera that it is showing through. So the next thing I want to do probably is to put something down over this green. Had this not been green, it probably wouldn't have been a problem, but because it is, we're going to cover it just in case. Okay, I've grabbed a couple of sheets of this just brown like paper bag material, and I'm going to glue these down on each side of the book, because this is going to be covered and covered again, so we're just going to go for it with the Scotch Create glue stick. And to make sure I'm going to go from here all the way down the sides, making sure I get a lot on this side, because I do want it to stay stuck down. And I'm going to go all the way to the edges and get that taken care of. Now I'm going to take and center this. I'm going to go right up to where that crease is, and I'm going to center it where I got the equal amounts on the top and the bottom. And I'm going to press it down. And then I'm going to flip to the other side. Now this is not going to be my final cover. Now I'm on the inside of the book, and I don't need all of this, so let's get rid of some of this. Here's my ruler. I'm going to leave about a ruler's width over here on the side. So what I'm going to do is just take and tear it right up the edge of my ruler, just like that. I'm going to flip it around and do the same thing on this side. And this is for all the people who've never made a junk journal before. This is my first time actually covering a book and doing a journal this way. So let's don't feel intimidated. Let's just get in there and do it. Okay, I'm going to take and put down glue along this edge, and I'm not going to go too far because I only have so much of this edge down here and up here. But I just want to get enough to stick it. So I'm going to fold my corners in first, and then lay that down. Fold over my top, making sure that that piece goes underneath. And this would be where it's a good time to have a bone folder or the red spatula. And I'm going to just take and crease that. Then I'm going to come down here to this corner. I'm going to fold this corner in. Kind of like doing a bed sheet. Make sure that's good and stuck down. And then I'm going to fold this end up. And I can tell I've got my glue just a little high on this, but that's okay. This is going to get covered anyway, so it's alright. If we went a little over, it's okay. It's just glue. It's just paper. So now we're going to fold this side in. Just like that. And this is what we have so far. That's not a bad looking cover, but this is not what I want for a finished product. Remember, I'm doing this step because, and I'm going to take my bone folder, my red spatula, and I'm going to take and just run that down the edge, and down this edge, and down this edge. And if we take and lay this piece on here, is it enough to get the top, the bottom, and the sides? I think it. I want to make sure that this, my cover is going to fit on here, and I have enough to come over the sides, top, and bottom. And this piece doesn't look like it's quite enough, so let's go to another piece. I've got several pieces. We got a piece. Now what you want is you want enough to cover over and cover up onto your book, and then enough to cover in on the sides as well. Now if you follow the guidelines of your paper here, that's probably pretty good, but I want to come over that paper just a little bit just in case. So I'm going to kind of measure it here. Now my husband showed me a trick, and let me see if I can find it so I can show y'all and stuff for what he does. He gets out a piece of chalk. And yes, we could get some tailoring chalk, but we just got regular old chalk. You don't have to have the chalk, but if you have the chalk, it makes life much easier. And if you can get it from the Dollar Tree, get it from the Dollar Tree. Now, I've got about 1.5 inches up here on the top, so I want to make sure I have 1.5 inches over here on the side. I'm not one to do a whole bunch of measuring, so we're going to kind of just eyeball it and look and see what it looks like. And this is where we kind of want it to be. And we're just going to go all the way down, just eyeballing it, because you know we're going to do that tear thing. So make sure you put your piece of chalk away where you can find it the next time. So now what I'm doing, I've got my chalk line here, is I'm going to rip this way. I'm going to take this out of the way, and I'm going to rip it this way. Now, because I want this piece to be, this is my bigger piece going this way, I'm going to rip it the longest way first. So I'm going to reach in there and just pull until I get to the end. And this is the piece that we're not using. So we're going to fold this up, set it to the side, and we're going to get out our other piece. And here is our chalk line. Now we really didn't need to make that chalk line go all the way down. We just kind of needed to know where to start the tear at, and we're going to tear. If your material doesn't tear like this, it's probably because it's got some polyester in it. A cotton material will tear really easy, and if yours has got polyester in it, that's okay. Take and cut it all the way down. You don't have to tear it. So I'm just kind of smoothing it out. I'm going to get my book cover back over here, and I'm going to lay it down. And now, here's the part. Let me turn it this way so y'all can see. Here's the part that I sit here and go, about. Do I really want to do this? Is this what I want to do? Because once you do this, you've done it. And I like this material. I know it. Let's start gluing. I'm going to put glue all over this side here. I'm going to flatten that out. And I'm going to use fabric glue now. This is the first time I've used it, because I've been saving it for this project, so let's pull it out. Got the new bottle, Fabric Fix, permanent adhesive. Let me see, do I need to punch a hole? I probably do. Let me get a hole punched. I heard this stuff is really smelly, and I probably should put it in my Sugar Bell icing bottle. So, I'll be right back. Let me get this set up. Okay, we've got the Sugar Bell icing bottle all set up. This is the first time using it, you guys. There's always a first for everything. Okay, I'm going to go down the spine, and I'm going to go over this edge. Ooh, this comes out really easy like this. And so I heard we got to do the finger smushing thing, and we're going to do the finger smush, since I got glue on my finger already. Because we don't want the bleed lines to come through onto our fabric. So we're going to take and smush it out, get it on here. And whew, this stuff is smelly. Pull this a little bit more down. I can see why you got to leave your icing bottle upside down. Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, let's turn it over and get that side down. And voila, side one down. Okay, let's move it out. Iron it with your hand, lift it up, pull them wrinkles out. We only got one part done so far, which is over here. And go down that center. Okay, so here's what we don't have glued, is that. Oof, Lord have mercy, this stuff is stinky. Just like that. Okay, you guys. We got a little bit of a bleed through, but that's okay. We'll fix it. We'll fix it. Okay, let's turn it over. Whew. Lordy. I don't know how they do this. Okay, I gotta get this glue off my hand. Hold on a minute, you guys. Oh, this is some messy glue. Yeah. Charlene gonna be going back to that other glue. Okay, we're gonna put, the next thing is they put it down in the corners just like this. And just like this, I'm gonna go ahead and put it down in all four corners, since I gotta smush it with my finger. My finger is sticking to me. Don't bend your fingers with this glue. Okay, we're gonna come down here, put some in here, do the finger smush really quick, pull it over, and press it down. And any places that haven't gotten it under, our cover completed. And this is what we look like so far. And yes, this shows through right here, but that's okay because I've got something special planned for that. Okay, we're finally recording again. Okay, so what I've done is I kind of laid out what I want the cover to look like in a roundabout way. Get me something to put glue on so that I can get these pieces good and glued down. I'm going to use my Scotch Create glue again. I'm going to go along this piece and I'm going to lay it on here. Just like this. I don't need to put glue. And I want to make sure I get it up to the edges on this as well, because this is my piece that's going to be bendable. I'm trying to stay in camera frame for y'all. And I'm kind of trying to make this look like a, make sure that's centered in there. Trying to make this look like an old book, but even though it's a new book, I make it look like an old book. Okay, I'm gonna set that over there, and then I'm gonna take my other pieces that are right here. It'll work. So I'm gonna put glue on the back side of this, making sure I get along the edges flat, and I'm going to put some weight on it so that they will dry flat, because that's what I want. Let me get these pieces out of the way. Too much going on at one time. I'm going to lay a book on this overnight and let this sit overnight, and we'll be back in the morning to work on this. As I got out my vintage photo, and I'm distressing these right here along here. I'm probably doing overkill to a certain extent for some of this, and some of this I'm probably not doing enough. I don't know. I'll find out if I have to go back and repair this journal at some time later in life. So I'm just kind of giving this a weathered look, and we're going to do it on these pieces as well. Am I recording? I missed recording some of that, so I do apologize for that. Thinking about it after I went to bed, and I let these dry flat and I let this dry flat, and when I got up this morning all of it was nice and pretty and flat, and then I thought about, okay, I want that spine to have a curve to it, a nice even curve to it. So here's the idea that I came up with, plus I also need to go in here and glue these edges down along here, and plus I want these pieces, because they're going to go across the spine like this, I want them to curve with it too. So I've kind of come up with an idea, and I'm going to show you what I decided to do to help mine. Since I've got to glue this in here and get it nice and glued down, I'm going to get out my glue, because that's going to help make this be a little bit more pliable to do what I want to do. And I'm going to take out my Fabrifix bottle, but I'm not using Fabrifix. I'm going to use my bottle as my, it's got that right amount of curve on it. See what I'm talking about right here? Where it curves around. I don't know if y'all can see that on camera. Make sure I get it where y'all can see it. See how it curves around? That's about how I want my spine to curve around. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to do this in sections, because my bottle's not tall enough. I guess I could find something that's a little bit taller, but I know this bottle is the size I want, so this is what I'm going to use. So I'm going to go ahead and stick it, or just hold it right here on the bottle. And I know that my first little strap that's going to go across is going to come right in here. I'm going to show y'all what I mean in just a second. I'm going to lay this one here. This one's going in the middle. And no, I'm not measuring. I'm eyeballing this, because me and the measuring tape, this is what I do. One finger width, and yeah, that looks about center. And that's how we're going to glue it down. Okay? Did I stick my head in the picture? I have to edit that out. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, before I put these down, I do need to come in here and put glue up under this edge over here where it didn't get all glued down yesterday, and under here. And by going ahead and doing this, this is going to make this somewhat soft and pliable, because where it dried yesterday it was hard. And so I'm squirting glue all up under this edge, and I'm going to wipe off the excess when I press it out in just a second. But I want to make sure these edges are good and glued down, and yeah, I'm kind of pulling that up and re-gluing it. And then I'm going to just press down, wiping away any excess glue. Get all that excess glue off. Let me get a baby wipe out, because you guys know how I am about getting that glue on my hands. I'm not afraid to be dirty or nothing like that. It's just I don't like how it feels on my hands. Okay, I'm looking for a rubber band or something that can help me conform this to what I want it to do. And I don't see a rubber band, but I do have, let me look up here. I'm going to have to do some editing right here. This is fresh glue on. Now what I'm going to do is take my little hair bow and just place it on there, and I'm going to run it up as high as I can on the bottle right before it gets to the end here. I'm going to go ahead and put another one on here, and just for good measure I'm going to add the one to the end since I have it out, and let that sit there. Now what that's going to do is start conforming that to what I want, and I'm just kind of going to bend this end around down here, and I'm going to let this sit. And then what I'm going to do is when I come back, I'm going to start on this end down here, and I'm going to make sure I get up under these edges and get that nice and conformed like I want it. But you know what? I could go ahead and probably add one of these strips in here because I have room. And I think that's what I'm going to do. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put lots of glue. Oh, I don't want to get down here. I want to measure. Here's a trick. You got to measure how far this is actually going to be on your piece. Now remember, you want even amounts on both sides, because this is what's going to help go into the book, the edge of the book. So you want it to be, let's see, we want about a finger's width, so right about there is where that's going to go. And right there, I'm going to just do this. I'm going to kind of fold it in half, say that's my center, and I'm going to put a dot of glue down. I'm going to look at my piece, my spine that I have here, and this looks right about to be halfway. So I'm going to just lay that down right there. Now I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to look at the edge, and I notice that my edge ends here, so I moved my piece. So I'm not going to come too far out because I don't want this to extend past onto the bottle. So let me pull this side up, and you can always come back in and add glue later. You just don't want to add too much and have it stuck to your bottle and not be able to. Let me turn this around. There's probably an easier way to do this, but you know, here at the Crafty Art Shack, we show you all the ways to do it wrong first. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put the glue down. I know this is my center right here, so I'm going to just put a line of glue there. And I know I got to come out a little bit further than what I did. And I guess if I was a measuring person, I could measure that. If my husband was here, he'd tell me I needed to measure it. That's why you measure. He's an upholsterer, so he would say that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my little clips like this, or any clip that you have, and I'm going to just kind of clip here, and then I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to just clip this edge, both edges together. And the reason why I had to kind of do that one side first is because I had to get it in place so I could do it. And this is what you should have right now. Now this will dry rounded to that edge, and I just kind of line it up while it's still wet and making sure it looks like I want it to look. And I could go ahead and do this middle one too, but I think I'm going to wait on that, and I'm going to do the other end. And I actually got that less than a finger's width, so when I put this other end on down here, I'm going to want to make sure I check that sizing. So I'm going to wait on these, and I'll come back and I'll do those later. I'm going to let that dry. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to add this one here, you're going to add one here to the center, and you're going to add one to this end down here. And you're going to repeat that process, and I'll just speed the video through this part because you don't need to hear me tell you all about how to do it again. Okay, so when you get to this part, you're going to have to fold these pieces over and then pull that over the top of it, because if you don't, you're going to end up messing them up. And I'm going to just slide that off of there, just like that. Now this one, I don't have this one glued yet. I'm going to slide this down so that I could get this part. And the reason why I didn't glue this one is I want to make sure it's in the center. Just like it did down here at the end. See how that made that nice circle? That's what I'm going to want on my book binding on the outside. And let's see, let me straighten this piece up here. You want to do this while it's still wet and you can still move everything. Okay, that looks good. Okay, we're going to let this sit up and dry. And if you want to, you can add another scrunchie in here. You just have to fold these pieces over and go over the top of that. But we're going to let this sit here and dry, just like that. And when it's done, we'll be back. Taking off the clips from here and here. Now this one, I could go over the top of this right now if I wanted to try to get that off, or I could wait and take the paper off. But what I don't want to happen is I want to take this off before I take the bottle out, because this is smaller than my bottle and I don't want it to take my paper and just crunch it up once I pull it off of there. So I'm going to slide this up and over that last edge that we added and pull it off and slide this out. And there we go. We have a nice curved edge for our book, and these pieces will be hidden when they go up into the edge of the journal, and they won't be seen. So that's it for that step of making our journal binding for the end of our cover. You know, that thing. Like this. When we put our book completely together, which we're getting to that point, this will go over the edge of that, and this is the look that we'll get. We'll get that book binding. This will look like an expensive book, but we're going to add a few things to this before we actually start. Get some things out of the way here. Okay, I will tell you this. If you want this spine to stay curved like it is, we put it on the bottle and we've curved it around. Now if you're going to not work on this project, or you're going to leave it sitting for a couple of days, you're going to want to take and clip your little tabs of your pieces that are going under your top part of your cover like this. You want to not glue them, but clip them together, and just slightly pull it and clip it so that it keeps that circle trough down in here. Because if you have any kind of dampness in your house overnight, this will warp and change, and so you don't want it to do that. So what you want to do is you want to go in here and you want to make sure you keep this clip like this until you're ready to use it, so that it holds that shape. Okay, and on to the next part of the video. Okay, yes, we're still working on our pages like I guess it would help if I remove that lens cover. Sorry about that, you guys. Oh, sorry about the camera shaking too. Okay, so yes, we are still working on our book like this, but what I did is I took out a piece of paper because I want to put some stamps on here and I don't want to mess up what I've already done. I'm going to take a piece of paper that's the same color, and I'm going to start putting some stamps across it to see, one, what color I want to use, because I have several ink colors that I want to try. I have some that I picked up at a garage sale that are by close to my heart, and I really like these because they're magnetic, but if I had to go out and purchase them and pay a bunch of money for them, no, I don't think these came from garage sale. I don't know where these came from, but I got them quite a long time ago, and yes, you see me wiping. I hate to get ink. I hate for my hands to be dirty. I'm sorry. Okay, so anyway, back to what we're doing. I got a piece of paper. You have to watch us here on the Crafty Art Shack because we take bunny trails. But I got several different colors out because I want to see what color shows up the best, and without ruining the pages I've already started. And then when I see what I like, then I'm going to move on to those pages. I've also got some cheap Walmart paint. These come 4 to a pack, and this one happens to be like a green color, and this is just the black one. So we're going to try putting some stuff down. I've got this stamp that is multiple words, and you see it still had a little bit of ink on it, and I'm just putting that down first because I don't need this to show up really dark. I just want it to have like that background color of faded words and stuff like that going on. If and when I do stamp onto this, I will make sure I have pressed it several times so that it's light like this. So what I'm doing is I'm just going through here and pressing this down, and this is just old ink that's coming off of this. I haven't even put any on it. It sits on a thing in my book, in my drawer. I have paper down, and you'd think that I'll be off of it by now, but it's not. Okay. Next, I apologize, I'm multitasking here. So that was done with black after it had been used several times after I'd already used it several times. Now I have this key here. I'm going to take and press it against. This is a toffee color, and I want to put one key here. I'm just kind of seeing what I like and what I don't like. I really like this brown against this paper. I might use that. And put one. I'm kind of doing this as if I was doing the whole spread. This is the front side and this would be the back side. Okay, then I have some words here that I may or may not want to use, and I kind of want this stuff. Yeah, see, that stuff still had ink on it. I don't like to get ink on me. So this one probably already had ink on it, so let me press it down and see what it does. No, it didn't have that much ink on it. I had enough to get me dirty. I don't think I'm going to want the words over the top of that, because unless it's in a different color. Let's try some toffee. Now, I will tell you this. If you take that black ink and you stick it down on your ink pad, here. If I was to take this with black ink on it and stick it down on my ink pad, this is toffee. This one wouldn't be so bad. But if I go to take and stick it down on this yellow ink pad right here, that black ink is going to show up and contaminate this ink pad. And this is what I like about these inks. Those tops are magnetic. So what I'm going to do, instead of just putting this directly onto my toffee color, I'm going to take my baby wipe and I'm going to just kind of wipe over those letters. And look at all that ink that's coming off of there still. I'm going to wipe over those letters and get that ink off, because I do not want that black ink contaminating my brown color. And I think by the looks of it, I'm going to be going with the toffee. I'm going to just let that air dry for a second until I see most of the shine gone off of it from the baby wipe. And then I'm going to press it on my ink pad. And then I'm going to pick it up. And I'm going to bring it over here. I think I would put this on the front maybe. And yeah, I like the brown on there. I really like the brown. And I think the light words on the back, in the background, would be what I want. And then the brown on the top. And then I may use this for the inside cover. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, let's try a different color just in case we're not totally sold on that brown. Okay, so again, you want to make sure you're cleaning your stamp before you're stamping your next color. This next color is Gold Rush. It's by Close to Your Heart. Let's see, what's that say up there? It says exclusive inks, Close to Your Heart. Okay, so I'm going to take this one. This one hasn't had ink on it, so that's dry. That's going to contaminate my golden color here. So let's take this one. I like that one too. I don't know. What do you think? Do you like the golden color or do you like this one? Let's try this green. And with this green, I'm going to take and put my key on there. And again, I want to make sure I wipe off the excess ink. It had brown on it, so it didn't have too much. I got lots of stuff going on here. So I ink it up again. I'm going to put the green on it. And with these little ink pads, I usually take and just dab on the ink because it's easier to do than trying to get the ink the other way. And I'm going to put this key right here. And I like the green too. Yeah. You guys, I'm having a hard time deciding what I want to do. Okay, so out of all the colors, I think I like the brown and the green the best. I think I don't like this color as much. So maybe what I'll do is I'll do the words, the background words I'll do in the green. Let's put some green on my background words and see what we come up with. I'm not going to do them all, just do some of them in case I decide that's not the color I want. And no, I didn't wipe that off because it was not going to contaminate that. So let's see what we get here. Yeah, I think I'm going to do the green words, but see how that turned out darker? And then my brown words don't show up as good. So if I go with the dark words like that, I'm going to need to lighten it up quite a bit. So in other words, what I'm telling you is you're going to have to press that a couple of times to where, like when you press this time, it came out a lot lighter. Okay, so the colors I'm going to go with are going to be the green for words and the brown for the key, and no, the brown for these words right here, maybe. I don't know. Let's just do the background words for right now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the paper I just had, I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to take my green. I'm going to ink up all my words all the way across the stamp. And I'm probably not doing this the way most people who do crafting all the time do it. I'm doing what works for me. And you do what works for you. Okay, I'm going to take and lay this down because I want some of this ink to come off before I actually print it on my other card. And I like how that has that kind of feel to it. So here we go. If I mess it up, it's okay. It's just paper. We'll fix it. I'm going to start up here at the top and lay my stamp down. And I want to press, making sure everything gets its print. And beautiful. I just love that. Okay, now I'm going to do one more down here at the bottom. I'm going to put the bottom of the stamp down. And I'm going to press, but I'm going to hold the top part up because I do not want that to print over what I already have there. So, there. And that's what we have. I think that turned out absolutely beautiful. That's the look I'm going for. Now, I think I'm going to put a key in there. And I think I'm going to do the key just like that. With what ink was left on my thing. And that's with the green. And I think I'm going to put another key probably up here in this area. Okay, now I'm going to leave that alone and I'm going to go to the front cover. Now that was my back piece. This is going to be my front piece. Now, again, I need to put more ink on my thing here. And so I'm just going to rub it across very lightly, doing those words, but I'm going to have to go back and take some of this back off. And you know, I have a Sizzix machine. I bet you I could take and press this in the Sizzix machine. That's probably how you're supposed to use the stamp. And here I am using it this way. But you know, it's what works for me. If you didn't have a Sizzix stamp, this is how you could do it with one of these, and it turns out beautiful. And look at there, you make your own paper. Okay, so I pressed it once on the scrap paper. Put the scrap paper to the side. I'm going to lay down my print one more time. Go over it, pressing down, lift up, and I'm going to do it one more time, and this time I'm going to press with the upper part of the stamp, and I'm going to hold the bottom part of the stamp up. And beautiful. Now I'm going to take my key without putting anything on it, and I'm going to just push right here and add that key in without adding any more ink to my stamp. Now that made, the back cover has 2 keys and the front cover has 1. Now here's what we got with nothing on it. So the question is do we want to leave this part plain, or do we want to print it up as well? And I think at this point I'm going to turn these over and I'm going to let them sit over here and dry so I don't smudge the ink, because I see ink in here. When I turn it like this, there's a little shine. So I'm going to let them sit over here and dry. And this right here, I think I'm going to leave as a solid spine. If I wanted to print it, here's how I could print it. I could lay my paper down. I could lay this on it and roll it if I wanted to print it. I'm going to decide that later, but I think I'm going to leave it blank for now, like I used a different page. Okay, that's all for right now, and we'll get back on the next step in just a minute once that dries. Okay, so here's what we've got. We've got our book cover, and we're going to put our spine on here. Now, we don't want to glue this down flat onto there, but we do want to glue along this edge. We want to make sure that we glue along these strips right here, because this is what's going to hold it in, is these strips right here. Okay, so we're going to want to make sure we glue those down really good. And because we're gluing it on the fabric, yes, I'm using the fabric fix again, and lordy, is this stuff stinky. But I have the door open today, so maybe it'll be a lot better. So what I'm going to do to start with is I'm going to kind of eyeball where I want to lay it down at. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come under here, and I'm going to just do one side at a time. I'm going to put some glue down. Let me see if I can't get this to come out a little bit faster. Glue this side down really good along this edge, and then I'm going to take and lay it down on my book, and I want to kind of make sure I'm getting it evenly on each side of the spine. Now here's my spine, and I want to take and press down all the way through there on that edge. Now up here I need to pull it back this way some. Can y'all see that? Lordy, this stuff's stinky. This some stinky stuff. I don't know how you ladies use this stuff all the time. There's no way. Okay, I'm going to just take my little clips and I'm going to make sure I press this down really good along that line. Now I still haven't glued these, but I'm gluing that line. And I'm going to take and come down here and I'm going to clip this down and make sure I press and press and press. And see, I've got some paper coming up in here, but that's okay. We'll address that in a little bit. Okay, I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to make sure that's still pressed down. And then I'm going to lift up this edge over here. And I'm going to get my bead of glue ready. And I'm going to run down this edge over here, making sure I give me enough glue under there, right along that edge, to glue down. Make sure I get up under that little tab there. Yeah, get back under there. Now, I'm going to take that edge and I'm going to smush it down. And I don't want to smush it down all the way because remember we put that curve into our spine. We want to make sure we're keeping that. And I'm going to take my little clips and put them on the ends. And make sure this is pressed down. Make sure this is still staying glued down over here. Everything's looking good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go across my little tabs here. I'm going to pull it back. And I'm going to take and put plenty of glue on here. And I'm going to take and press it down. And make sure that goes down. Okay, I'm going to do the next one. Alright guys, I'm getting back over here. Sorry about that. Just gluing this last tab. Now I'm going to make sure I hold these down once I get them in place. Take that glue and put it over the top of it. Smush it down. And the areas that I want to make sure is glued down really good is these strips right here. Sorry if I'm jiggling the camera. But I want to make sure these are glued down really good. Not so much in here as much in here. Because this is what's going to hold a lot of this. And any glue that's coming up, I'm just making sure it goes back down. And after it dries, if there's any edges that's popped up, I'll come back and glue those down again. And see how that's going to fold around nicely on this. And see how I have one that's not wanting to stay stuck down right here in the center. So I'm going to hold that for a few seconds and I will come right back. You guys, we're going to show you the good, bad, and the ugly when doing this. They make it look so easy on videos. I watched a video of a lady doing one similar to this, and she made it look so easy. And yeah, about that. You guys, if you're new, I don't recommend you attempting this one. You could do it, but you have to have a lot of patience. Lots of patience. You guys are going to need to let this sit and dry. These are little clips that came from the Dollar Tree. I'm just putting them on there to see if I can't get a better grip on this. And kind of set me up to hold it like this in this position because this is kind of where I want it to be. And I'm going to take and put one tape dispenser here. And I'm going to take one bottle of Fabric Fix and put it here. And I'm going to let that dry. And when it dries, I'll let it dry for a couple of hours. Then I'm going to come back and see what I have and go from there. And then we'll talk about it. Now we can see. Okay, we've let this dry for a while after we put the Fabric Fix glue on it. And I still got a couple of places that are still coming up, like right here. This side that I glued really well stayed down, so I'm going to try to get some more Fabric Fix up under here and see if I can't get this to stay down better. And then, okay, I'm going to open it up. I'm going to fast forward through some of this and not have this. Y'all don't have to see all this gluing down. I just wanted to show y'all where I was still having problems and how I was solving those problems, because if you're new to junk journaling and you need to know how to fix this stuff once these mistakes occur, trust me, here on the Crafty Art Shack, we're going to find out what those mistakes are. Okay, what I did earlier is I weighted this down with an eraser, tape dispensers, but I'm going to hold this with my fingers for a few minutes and let's see if it'll tack up and stay down, and then we'll work from there. Then I'm going to press it down, and yes, it's squished out, and yes, I'm going to wipe it off. And I'm going to take my finger and kind of shove some of that back under that little section and hold it down. The next section is the front of the book. She also sewed hers. I'm not sewing mine because my covers are much thicker than hers were, and so all of this is going to be glued into place. And that's where I want that, so now I'm going to place this glue out. This is Aleene's tacky glue. And this will give me a little bit more time. I got to get it onto the bottom. This will give me a little bit more time to work with it. And as far as getting it adhered to the book, now I am going to want to make sure that I line it up with the top edge of this and the bottom edge of this. But I want to make sure I get these good and covered. Okay, and then I'm going to see about where it would lay as far as how far out to come. And I'm going to come at least right to here, and I can come back in and add more glue under there as needed when I get it good and ready to go. Now I am going to come along here and smush this out with my finger to give it a by having this book in here makes it easier to do the second side because it helps hold everything flat. And I'm just kind of rubbing over the whole thing, making sure that all that glue is smushed down. Alright, now we're going to come in here and make sure we get this edge, make sure it's all the way glued down at this point. And if you mess up, it's okay, because It's just paper. We can fix it. We can cover up any mistake that we make. You see all that extra glue? I'm just rubbing it with my finger along the edge. It's okay, because my hands are sticky. Alright, get my hands clean, where they're not sticky, not wet. Okay, here's what, I'm going to turn this side over. Here's what we have so far. This is our book that we're just using for weight in there right now. We don't have the inside of the cover finished, and I'm going to show you why once I start doing the other. And as you open this book up, this is how I did my cover. This is the look I was going for. And I need to turn this over and press this side like I did the other one. The reason why I didn't glue this all the way down in there is because I wanted this to be a floating binding, because I wanted this to take all the stress. This binding that was originally in the book, that's why I didn't take it out. I want this to take all the stress of opening and shutting, not this, okay? Because I knew this was going to be made out of paper. Now I'm going to take and put my weighted book back in here and let this sit and dry, and when it's all done, I'll be back. Okay, you guys, I got a special treat for you while we're waiting on that spine to dry. This is my 4 signatures that I made up to go inside of this book that I'm making. And as you can see, I've already decorated. Let me turn it this way so y'all can see. As you can see, I've already mostly decorated. Got a few scragglers here. I got the pages already decorated, and I've got all the little sections already done in it, and I did 4 signatures to go into this book. And I put lace and everything. I put lace, ribbon, and envelopes and stamps and everything in there. And this is going to be what we're going to put. These 4 signatures is what we're going to sew in this book that we've been working on. And I know this doesn't look very babyish right now, or doesn't look very like it fits this book at this point, but the colors that I was going for was for these yellow colors. And this is my front of my book. And then when I sew these in, I'm going to make a piece that's going to be, these are going to be sewn into that piece that's going right there. And this is the advantage of having all your stuff made up ahead of time, making those pages like what we talked about and we did in our past videos. And if you haven't seen that video, here's on here, somewhere here, okay, somewhere on here there's going to be a picture that pops up, and there's videos of where we mass made pages. And no, it wasn't any of these pages, but I made up these pages ahead of time so that they would be ready to go, and all I'd have to do is just sew them in, put them in this book. And this is what we're going to continue working on in the next video. I'm going to let this sit and get good and dry on the outside, and then we will come back and make that piece for the inside right here and sew our signatures in. Then once we do that, we'll finish off the section here and this section here. And we'll look forward to seeing you on the next video of the Crafty Art Shack. Thanks for all of those who've taken the time to watch our videos and to watch and subscribe, and we greatly appreciate it, and we hope you join us for more. Thank you, and you have a great day, and we'll see you later. Bye. Oh my gosh, I got glue on my mat. No, a lot. And look how this glue does. It gets you gummed up in a heartbeat. Look at that. And it doesn't wipe off. Look at that. It just rolls up on your fingers with a baby wipe. Well, maybe it does wipe off. Maybe I should let it sit there for a second. I glued my baby wipe to my finger. Okay. I don't know whether they watch my video or not. Yeah, you see me, I'm peeling the glue off my hands. You guys, I can't stand to have glue on my hands.